and welcome to Two Girls in a Pod. I'm Sharon.
I'm Christy.
And we are super excited because today we have a very special guest on, Michelle Segismundo Reeves. Hey, y'all, I practiced that name.
All right.
So welcome, Michelle.
Hello.
One of the things is we've been chatting, and so a really quick thing of the way that I know Michelle is we both used to be military family life counselors, and we met through that program, which is really an important program, which really helps our military, not only the active duty members, but it works with the children and the families. So that's kind of where we met. Did you do adults, or what was your role there?
I at the time that I met you, I was doing kids at a school in Colorado. It was Colorado, remember? And then I did a couple others in Colorado with adults and back and forth.
How long were you military family life counselor? Instead of saying that big old name out, we just say MFLAC. How long were you in MFLAC?
Quite a while, 10 years.
Oh, wow.
Years. Yeah.
So you're also a military wife, correct?
Yes. And we're actually here in Washington State now, and we're out of the military. So it's a huge transition for the last couple of years. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because when I met your husband, he was active duty.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
How cool is that? So now you live in Washington State, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yep. Our home state. This is our home state.
Okay. So you've been really, really busy.
I've been very busy with a private practice, Vitae Life Counseling, which is over here in Puyallup, Washington, as a therapist.
Let me ask you this, because you said you were doing kids when you were in MFLAC. What does your practice kind of entail now?
Oh, with adults, primarily adults, individual adults and marriages, focused on trauma as well as grief, loss, and anxiety and spirituality. That's why my clientele, basically, the majority.
But you're also the president and founder of Heart and Soul International. What is that exactly?
Yeah, so that is a nonprofit where we educate and train leaders, pastors on a global basis, as well as community workers, lay workers within the faith-based community on trauma healing, as well as healing and deliverance, spiritual reconciliation. But we also not only do that, we do outreaches in other nations, as well as prevention of human trafficking.
Okay, so what got you into a human trafficking piece?
I think part of it was I had gone to a nation, I had traveled so much in the last couple of years prior to COVID. COVID was a huge change, but prior to 2020, when I had gone into Nepal, I think that was the first nation where my eyes just got open to some of the things that was going on in that part of the world, because it was the furthest I've ever traveled. Besides Africa, I've also gone to Africa, but it was the furthest, and the most, I would say, that wasn't on my radar to go. It wasn't on my my list of ideas of a place to go. And I think it was different. It was a culture I've never known, I've never been exposed to. And when I knew a lot of the issues that was going on in that area, I mean, it happens everywhere. Human trafficking happens everywhere. But specifically there, I just saw a lot of needs and a lot of remote areas, completely remote, with not anything near how we live in the U.S., where, there's running water that's amenable and lights that you can just flip a light switch. I did a lot of hiking. Did some hiking in Nepal. It's a beautiful country. Beautiful country. The people are very kind and sweet. Mm-hmm. But that was my eye-opener to the issues of trafficking in that area. And so I partnered. We did some support there where we help prevent. How we help prevent human trafficking is by raising funds, in order to help supply with some of the needs that they may have. Because if it's a very poor country, or there's a lot of needs, and so when people go into poverty, there's a desperation, and when there's a desperation, sometimes there's a lot of vulnerability when there's poverty that occurs.
Absolutely.
And when that vulnerability happens, people like to take advantage of those situations and create situations where that seems like it's hope for them to have a better life. But in actuality, it's a trick that is used to lure people who are vulnerable to trafficking. And so that's kind of how it developed in that sense.
Well, it's interesting because I think, human trafficking has probably been something that has been around for a very long time. But I think it's really interesting how, at least now, people are really working on that awareness to know that it happens, and that it's not just in those countries that are impoverished, but it happens in the United States. It happens all over the world. And just the more education and awareness that it's out there, the better the opportunity is to stop the human trafficking,
Yeah. As much as possible. And it's also takes partnering with other organizations and other leaders in other nations who are also doing similar work and doing different things to help to try to prevent that, or they're on the other end of helping to rescue. So,
wow.
Yeah.
I imagine it's very rewarding, but I imagine it's also very heartbreaking.
Yes, it is.
Very similar to being a therapist.
Yes, yeah. Well, you've been a therapist for quite a while.
Yeah, she has.
That's basically what Heart and Soul does. And prior to 2020, we had a lot of activity going on, traveling and all of that. So we're looking into the future again on going abroad again in the near future.
Nice. Yeah. Do you have any place in particular that...
It's not formalized yet, but it's on the list. But we're still planning for next year, and a lot of different things too. I'm also planning. There's so many things I'm planning. So probably one of the nations, or possibly I would say, is we are probably going to head back into the European nation and as well as Asia. Those are the two nations continents that we're going to head back into. Yeah. Maybe South America. That's a possibility. So.
Well, when you say about a lot of things, we were talking about, girl, you're always doing something. You also do TikTok.
Yes, we're always seeing these great videos.
We're always watching you do your little dance and stuff on TikTok, because people that don't know your energy, you really do have an amazing energy. It's a very positive energy. It's very up, and people see her on TikTok and you'll see what we're talking about.
It makes those videos really fun.
Yeah, and I took my TikTok down. All of those that you just saw, like recently, they were saved, and so I just put them back up on my Facebook. But I've been debating about going back on, because I actually enjoyed doing those videos and connecting it to mental health in a way.
Right.
Yeah, so I've been debating about going back on TikTok and creating other videos for that.
Nice.
Well, once again, it's so fun to watch. And I know, you and your husband were on was it a vacation where you were recording, or was that business too?
Which one?
You guys are by the water, and I think you were on vacation, maybe.
Was it this year? This past year?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah. I think we were probably in Miami.
Yes, that's what it was. You were doing your Miami vibe, man.
Yeah. It was, I love Miami. I mean, I really love that place. If anything, you need to go on vacation, go there. You talk about positive vibe. It's like positive all the time. People are happy. It's sunny. I mean, there's a beach and everything. But yeah, that's why I had to put that Miami vibe.
Well, I keep telling Christy, where do I want to go? I want to go to Miami. I want to go. And then we end up somewhere else. But that's on our list of places to go. Even when you see it, there's this really cool vibe to it. So
yeah.
We've said we've got to go do that, kind of, but we love to travel. So we'll go about anywhere,
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and it's a great place to be. The food is great. And yeah. And that video was actually, I think I did both a business video and a vacation video at the same time.
Yeah. That's why. Yeah. So I was trying to remember. I thought there was a little bit of both in there.
Yeah, it was. Because I also did a talk on another live program. It was in Spanish, so I did another talk while I was there. So I was partly working.
Yeah, and that's the other thing. You are bilingual.
Yes.
And so
I speak Spanish.
I see that you do a lot of stuff for the Spanish speaking community, which I think is really good. And particularly, I think when we're talking about mental health, because I don't think that oftentimes I'll see, looking for a Spanish speaking person to help with this and that. Don't always get a whole lot of feedback to it. Do you find that keeps you busy? I mean, that could be a total full-time job just doing that.
Doing which, like,
doing
what do you
stuff in
mean?
Spanish, whether it's therapy in Spanish or talks in Spanish.
As of it being difficult, or what do you mean? Like,
I think no, that it's such a demand, it's difficult to get
oh,
people to do it.
oh, I see. Yes, yes. I think being out there to help Latino community, it's a good thing to have
Mm.
for the community because there's a lot of need out there. And so I've had several colleagues I was able to meet up here, and I also have from the past from Latino agencies that I used to work for here in Washington. They're both community mental health centers that are large here in the Northwest. And so I still keep in touch with some of my Latino colleagues. And so I think, it's very beneficial in helping and educating mental health and then mental wellness and taking care of yourself, and also just in a relational matter of having healthy relationships, things like that. And so we've done a lot of things of helping the community in that way. I'm talking about those kind of things, and also on the entrepreneuric side of
Mm-hmm.
things, as of helping a lot of people who want to develop businesses and are at the start, or maybe they're still in the beginning and maybe struggling with, making some decisions that are scary in business. Sometimes you're like, should I move location, or what's the benefit of that location? Will it help increase my revenue, or should I hire this person? Will they help me increase revenue, or or would it go opposite? Decisions like that as an entrepreneur, and just facing maybe some of the fears that you would face as an entrepreneur, whether you'll make it or not, and the struggles that come with it. But at the same time, the blessings that you see if you stay consistent and you connect with the right relationships.
Well,
Right.
and I think that is so true because, we were talking earlier and I said about, I've been doing this for a very long time. So I'm morphing my business actually into more of that coach consultant and working with minorities and women on that business because it is such a scary thing for them. I think, when they look at the financial piece, when they look at location, what is that audience or that group they're trying to appeal to? There's so many of those things. And I think that the more representation, I think the more it encourages others to get out there and do those things, to get outside of their comfort zone.
Yes. Yes. And it takes a jump sometimes to do it, to take some risk, and sometimes it's just trial and error. You're right. You can make a mistake, but then you can always try to fix it in a different way and keep trying until it does work, whatever decision that be. But depending on the decision again.
Exactly.
Right.
And then just finding, the right support. I think having the right supports around you that believe in you, that help you, make a huge difference on that as an entrepreneur.
Yeah, and I think for us, Christy, we often talk about that, the importance of kind of setting examples. And we talk about sometimes we try something and it doesn't work. We talked about the podcast and that was more difficult for you.
Yeah. And I mean, in order you have to get comfortable with it and you have to find out what works for you. But yeah, it feels like a risk at first and there's a little bit of fear involved.
But, well, because she has anxiety, she has a social, performance anxiety, a social anxiety around talking, singing, all of those things. So, but we try to showcase that because no matter what your fear is, you can push through it if you do have those people that support it. And we've been very fortunate because we have some amazing, wonderful family and friends who have been really supportive of this journey we're on. And I know for you, having that support as well.
Yes, it makes a huge difference. On time, on some decisions, on moving forward, and having that consistency and focus, definitely that focus to do so. Because there's always different decisions to make. But at the same time, it's, as time goes by, you see fruit.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
You see fruit to what you guys do, like what your day's doing or your podcast. You see fruit in time of what you do on a consistent basis.
Michelle, for you, because, your husband being in the military, did you find it hard to cut, because like now you opened your new office.
Yeah.
We were talking a little bit about that. So you're very excited about that.
Uh-huh.
So now it's kind of like you are able to put down roots. As a military family, that's a little bit more difficult.
Yes. And, that's a great question because because Heart and Soul International always existed throughout my time, even as when I was in Colorado working with you. I did some of it on the side, but because we uprooted so much and relocated, it was very difficult. And this is one thing that people, and this is a good question to ask because I think it's good to be on the air with this piece for the military spouses that have a business or are thinking about doing a business, because a lot of times, you have your own dreams, you have your own desires. And if you have, I'm blessed with a great husband who supports me and what I do and what my heart's desires are. So he's always okay, and he was always okay with me traveling, even while he was deployed. He was like, "Oh yeah, I'm deployed. Go ahead. You don't need to stay home. And what are you gonna do at home?" I mean, right?
Yeah.
So I was very thankful for him entrusting me, and so. But what made it difficult was just always having to stop and relocate and start all over again. And then on top of that, all my connections are back here in the Northwest, or I knew like you guys in Colorado, but I didn't have, it was just a short window. It's not like years and years of knowing people. And so every time you relocate, you have to get to know people, know the community. And so I would always just kind of, when with Heart and Soul, I would just keep what I had, which was mainly from the Northwest, my connections, and whoever else I met, like, as I can, and overseas when I traveled. But it was always difficult to establish just because there was no roots.
Right.
But on the flip side, how I managed that was I was like, you know what? At least I'm getting to know more people in my life.
Yeah.
So more people, more connections, right?
Right.
And so there was a flip side to that. So like if I never went to Colorado, I wouldn't have known you all there.
Exactly.
Yeah. So that's how I kind of dealt with that. But now that I have roots, I've had roots for quite a while. I'm realizing, and we wanted to move. We actually were thinking, we don't know how much we like Washington because it rains so much. And it's actually right now, what time is it? Actually, there's some sun today. Well, thank God. But usually it's like so gray, and at 4:30 p.m. it's dark.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I would have a hard time with that.
Yeah, it's not like Colorado at all. So it's dark. Like, when you get up in the morning, like at 6, it's dark.
Yeah.
The end of the day at 4:30, it's dark.
Oh no, see, yeah, we need our sun.
Yeah. So vitamin D here is you gotta soak that in during the summer.
Yeah.
But having roots makes a difference on being able to just stay rooted and to develop a business.
Yeah.
Instead of feeling that you have to stop and then restart again. Stop and restart.
Right.
So
it's nice when you can have connections everywhere, but when you can actually put those roots and have some local connections too.
Yes.
And do you find though too that as you develop that community, when you're putting back into the community, it feels different because it's your community.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the transition back though to the community was also still different. So because everybody grew, they got older, people got older, doing different things, and some may have moved, or I've actually had also some of my friends who already passed away, though I'm not that old.
Yeah.
So some changes in the last couple of years.
Mm-hmm.
So the place you moved back to, that's your guys' hometown?
Yeah. Yes.
That you and your husband?
Yes.
How long have you been married?
Oh, hold on. We're hitting an anniversary. That's a great question to ask. We're actually having an anniversary this month, and it'll be 18 years now.
Oh, nice.
Oh, nice.
Congratulations.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Let me ask you this, because, your business is really about the spiritual side. Talk a little bit about that, about what...
The Heart and Soul one,
yes.
or the Vitae Life? Vitae Life is a private practice. That's my counseling practice.
Yeah, because you do spirituality in both of them?
Yeah, so let me talk about Vitae Life. That one, so it's faith-based, a Christian practice. So when I say spirituality, it's on that end where, people who have either struggling in their faith because they've been wounded by trauma, or they're just questioning their faith. So, or they're just faith-based and they just want a Christian counselor. So I'm available for that. So that's Vitae Life. On the flip side, the nonprofit, Heart and Soul International, which is the global healing ministry, that one we focus on. When I say trauma healing, it's on the not only educating on the mental health piece, but also on spiritual reconciliation, meaning spiritual reconciliation to God and to other people, bringing healing to the soul area, where it goes a little deeper, where people just struggle internationally with other things that go on in their nations. And so we work with that on helping the community leaders and leaders on working with the spiritual side aspect of their soul.
So what made you decide to, because I think, when we go into become therapists, everybody kind of picks their direction. What was it for you that helped you to pick this direction?
Well, because for me personally, in my own life, I think I came to know God like when I was 12 years old. I didn't really grow up in a Christian home, of Bible-believing home. There was nothing like that. I mean, I went to church probably if somebody died or there was a wedding. Mm-hmm. My grandparents were Catholic. My mom was Methodist, but she never really went to church. My dad didn't claim anything, though he said, yeah, God existed. So God for me was just there. And so when I was 12, I had a neighbor who invited my sister and I. My sister is 5 years older than me. And I went, and I really loved the youth group. It was so fun. I was like 12, just having fun at the church. And when I came to an understanding, when you're 12, your body starts changing. Everything starts changing. And so your emotions start going everywhere. And so I think at that time I was so young. We had an interest about God because my grandma, who was Catholic, would always say something about God. And my sister invited me to the church, and so I liked it. And I didn't know about having God in my life or having a relationship with God. And so when they talked about it and they talked about hell, I was like, what? I got so scared. I was like, maybe it's a good thing to follow God. So at 12, I accepted God into my heart and my life. And through the years, when I got at 14, I kept going to church. I got baptized in the Holy Spirit in the Pacific Ocean. This was in Hawaii.
What a beautiful setting, I'm sure.
Really?
And that changed my life. And just through high school, my college years, I had through struggles in life. And it helped me, God helped me in my own life and brought healing to my own wounds, emotional wounds that I have experienced. And because of that foundation, I then went into a seminary to get my master's in counseling.
Okay.
So that's and so now it's called Seattle School of Theology and Psychology here in Seattle. But back then it was Western Seminary. And so with Dr. Dan Allender, he's actually a pretty well-known Christian psychologist. And so I went there. I just wanted a master's degree, everything academic. But there they really worked your heart and your emotions. They challenged you. Besides providing the academics for your master's degree, but they challenged you on your life journey pretty much. And at that time I was under 30. I was still under 30. I had gone through a lot of process in processing my own life. And at that time, and I was still working as a therapist as well at a community mental health center, a Latino one. As I was processing and working, I was working so much. I wasn't married at that time. I wasn't even dating at that time. Nothing was going on except those two things. And because of the journey that I saw God heal me in my feelings of sadness and my own trauma, I saw it. And at the same time, I also went to Brazil on a mission trip. And that mission trip changed my life again because I saw a lot of people get healed physically, God healing them. Yeah. And Brazil is so different in the sense that the churches were so large. They were like in 20,000 capacity mega churches. But I went there and I just saw the hunger that they had. And I'm like, that's so different. How much I mean hunger for God. Mm-hmm. I never experienced. And I came back to the United States different. And so with all of that experience, and being a therapist, my own mental health, and seeing God heal my own emotions, my own, making me healthy as a person, as an individual. When 2020 hit, I wasn't even thinking of starting a private practice. I wasn't even on my radar until 2020 hit. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I think I better start something. I better do something because I may not have a job. I was kind of panicking. And so I started it. And so with that story and the mental health piece, combining the faith with mental health, and I see other people having done that, like the Christian psychologist that I was under at the school. I decided to formulate it that way to focus the audience that I have that way. Does that make sense?
Right. It sounds like you've gotten to follow your passion by making this your ministry, and it looks like it's effective. Yeah.
And Heart and Soul was started on a global basis because I love nations. I love cultures. That was always there.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's cool that you get to incorporate your passion with that.
Yeah.
Well, when you have a love of travel and things like that, it kind of all falls into place.
Yeah.
And I think it's so different. And I think, when I talk to other therapists, why did you pick this path? You can always tell those that it's not really, sometimes it's not attached to their heart, so to speak. And, I always tell people, when you love what you do, you don't ever feel like you're going to work in that fashion. Not that being a therapist will feel like work because of the emotional, the traumas you deal with and all of those kind of things. But when you love it, it's not like you sit there and say, oh God, I got to go to work today or anything like that.
Yes.
Or it doesn't feel that to me.
Yeah. There's a difference. You have a lot more motivation. It's not something that you feel like you have to do, but because you enjoy it, right? It makes a huge difference.
We talked a little bit earlier with you before we got on about consistency, because we were talking about the fact that one of your videos hit 1,000 views, which you didn't know about.
Yeah, I didn't know. Yeah, and it was organic, like this top right now is organic. So I didn't do any ads, nothing to boost it, nothing.
Right.
It was just natural. And then I wasn't paying attention to it because it was past. It was like a couple weeks ago, and I'm like, la la la, and then I'm like, what is this? I'm like, what?
That's pretty cool.
I didn't do anything, and except do the video. I'm like, wow, this is awesome. So I didn't know how effective it was, and how far it could reach just naturally. So that sparked me for more motivation. I mean, like anything, that'll help with consistency is like when you see things like that, it'll kind of motivate you, right?
Definitely.
So, when we talk about that, because, there's oftentimes burnout and stuff like that. When you get to that place, what do you do? Do a TikTok video and get yourself motivated? What's up with this? How does that work?
What energizes you?
Yeah, what energizes you?
Yeah, so funny. Yeah, well, I love the dance. I love music. But it has to be good music. It can't be something that's kind of boring. But no, yeah. I mean, one is exercise, and for me, exercise is like dancing. So yeah, I mean, I love doing the videos. So yeah, it does help me. As you can see, and so it does create positivity for me. And then I always think of, well, what's the purpose? Why am I doing this? And so I go back to the purpose. Okay, there is a purpose of why I'm doing this. It's helping people,
right?
And so those are the two things. I think it's just kind of like, hey, you know what? There is a purpose. It's not purposeless. Dancing.
Yeah, makes sense to me. Dancing is fun.
Yeah,
so.
we love dancing. We love music. And so I think that's one of the reasons I was there like, oh, look, Michelle's, when you started, so I was like, look, so I would go show Christy, look, she's dancing in this one. And we would watch them. And it was like, that is so cool.
Yeah.
When you're creating those videos, do you ever have not self-doubt, but are you ever self-conscious, those kind of things? Or is it so much in the moment that you don't think about it?
I mean, the dance videos, it depends because sometimes I make mistakes. I'll erase it and then re-record.
Yeah.
So if it's if I'm not listening to the beat right on and I'm like, let me re-record that. That was a mess up. But a lot of times, as I got comfortable over time, it's like, you know what? No, it's okay. It's fine. It's good. Yeah.
So you're just learning to have fun with it.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah. Having fun and just do that, and just be creative with the moves. That's basically where I got to. And just because I got tired of also re-recording, sometimes I'm like, you know what? I'm tired. I'm not going to re-record this. I'm just going to go with the flow.
Right.
This is a good move. This is a great thing. Now I just have to add some words to it, and that's it.
Yeah.
And I think the thing is once again, it's that thing of having fun, but also that when we start doing that re-record, and all of that, it's almost like we can always find something that we didn't like or about it, or do you know what I mean?
But sometimes I feel like that you can lose, quality or something when you're trying to perfect. So,
yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that's what we talked about. What people don't know is that, or if they do, when we do these interviews, people will say, okay, well, what kind of questions are you going to ask? And we always tell them, it's just like sitting down, having a cup of coffee with a friend, you don't know what we're going to talk about, and it goes everywhere. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Which I think is really cool because there's that organic piece to it. And I think that it also, I think those podcasts where it's very organized and those are cool too.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
But for people who know Christy and I, that ain't going to be it.
Yeah. Yeah.
We tried working off of an outline when we started, and it's hard when I guess when you first get started like that and you don't realize sometimes it's just a matter of going with the flow and getting relaxed.
and being in that moment.
Yeah.
Because I think I don't want to have stuff written down and then, you say something and it takes me to another question, or I think because, when as therapists, we're always constantly moving. There's this constant motion with our clients and stuff, as there is in our relationships. There's that flow to it that makes it really neat. And I think that helps to grow those relationships even on a more organic and more real level.
Uh-huh.
I was thinking back to when we went out to dinner. We would go out to dinner, okay, as a group. And, we'd all sit there and say, okay, who's going to sit next to Michelle? And you know what? Nobody told me this. The first time we went out to dinner with Michelle, nobody told me. So they tell me, sit there. And I'm thinking, okay, Michelle, you are so animated, which is so amazing. You talk with your hands like nobody. And so the true story, she talks and she's always constantly hitting some part of your body.
That's why they would tell you to sit next to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they say, you sit there, and they're like, okay. So after that, I caught on.
I had no idea.
But it's because you are so, when you talk, you are so in the moment. And if you're happy, people know it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Funny. Yeah.
And do you realize how much you talk with your hands, girl?
No, I'm not even Italian. That's so funny. No, now I'm thinking of Kathy. If she's listening to this, is Kathy Weber. Hello.
Oh, yeah, Kathy Weber knows it. Yeah. We talked about that.
Yeah.
We're going out with her this evening. A friend of hers is performing, so we're going to go meet up with her. And, we still meet up with the ladies. So we'll have a Christmas get together with them on the 18th. Because once again, we're talking about those connections. And, I know for us, it's really important not to lose those connections. And I know when you're in the military, you guys do that really well. Because it's like you guys, as you move from post to post, those connections you make, because you may end up with those people 3 PCSs down the way. Here you are with those people. And so there's the connectivity. Do you find that still? Do you have some of those relationships still with the people?
From where I moved? Oh, yes, definitely. Through Facebook. The Facebook has always been a great way to stay connected. But yeah, and I actually had a friend who I met in Missouri who just moved up here. So, and we really never stayed connected by phone except through Facebook. And, once I saw that she was moving here, we reconnected. So yes, I still have some of those relationships. And definitely if they were ever here in town or if I was over wherever they're at, we probably would meet up. So yes, I really think, those relationships over the years have been something that I love to stay connected. even if it's not as, though it's minimal over Facebook. When we get together, it's still a good connection.
Right.
Does your husband keep connected with the people he was in the military with, or?
Yes, there's a few that he does still keep in touch with. He's actually right now he works as a not military, as a chaplain in the hospital. So, and he still does have some connections with some of his friends from the military.
And that was his MOS in the military. I'm sorry, that was his thing that he did in the military was a chaplain, correct?
Yes.
Now, is he a part of your ministry as well?
Yes, he heart and soul. He is. Yes, the nonprofit he is. He helps. Actually, gives a lot of advice as an advisory board and as a board member. And he is pretty much, he helps with some of the admin, a few of the administrative things that take place. But he's not much into doing videos with me, so he'll be my cameraman once in a while. He likes behind the scenes kind of thing.
It's funny you said that because you can kind of tell that on your Miami thing, you were feeling the vibe. You could see the vibe in you. In him, it was like, okay, Michelle, hurry up, let's get this done.
Yes.
Do we have to do this?
Yeah, exactly. I see something, or if I see when I'm walking, wherever I go, if I see some scenery or the environment is great, then I'm like, I think I need to do a video here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, cool.
Yeah. So that's kind of how I function. And if I have time, if I'm not rushing to an event or something, but, if I'm just strolling down the road and browsing and it's a nice scenery environment, then it's time to do a video.
But, I think that is so cool. It's funny because, when we vacation and stuff, we post a lot of pics to our Facebook, and how much of the time we hear people say, thank you for bringing us along on your vacation, wherever it is. Because, that's another way of having that connectivity, of people who maybe can't go on vacation for whatever reason. Maybe their job doesn't have the vacation time, whatever it is, it doesn't matter. But they still get to experience those places, and they're seeing them through your eyes, which is kind of interesting. When you travel with people, would your husband say the Miami vibe, when he talks about Miami, would he use the same kind of enthusiasm, or because he's seeing it differently, he's experiencing it differently?
Yeah, he loved Miami. He was like, it's different. People are happier here, more relaxed. People are out on their boats on the weekends. Though we actually, I don't know if you saw one of the videos, we actually kayaked from a pier to a place called Peanut Island.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
And you can go snorkeling, swimming, whatever over there. But it's a short kayak ride where you just kayak or you can paddleboard to it. But people also brought their boats. And then they have music with their boats. Music is everywhere. He enjoyed it. It was very relaxing. He wouldn't probably use the word vibe, but he would say it feels different. It feels great. It feels good.
Yeah.
Now, when you say it was a short kayak ride, Michelle, what is short for you, man?
2 hours. I'm just kidding. It's not 2 hours. It wasn't 2 hours. It was actually 30 minutes.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Well,
yeah.
That's not.
And they have a lot of sandbars. So the sandbar, the water will only go up to your less under your knee.
Okay.
Yeah, and people pull out their chairs and they sit on the sandbar.
Nice.
Oh, nice. So does that mean you'll be scheduling another trip back to Miami?
Next year we might. I don't know about next year. We did in the last 2 years. We went last year, the year before.
Yeah.
This year I'm not sure if we will go. Or this 2023, we'll see. But if anything, I love it. It's super relaxing to be there.
Oh, well, okay, you sold us on it, girl. We're definitely, we're going to,
good, yes.
We're going to get that Miami vibe going on.
Yes, and then do a video.
Right.
We're working on that, man. That's our next thing. We're going to start doing vlogging in conjunction with our podcast. And so we're practicing, as you say, with the cameras and stuff like that. So it's not as easy as people think.
Oh.
Or it's easier than we think. I don't know.
or we're making it more complicated.
Right.
But, we have really had that consistency with what we do. And, like you've talked about the consistency and just having that determination. And when you start losing it, what do you do to get it back? Because that's a reality. That there's a lot of that goes on.
Yeah, I mean, losing the consistency. How do you get it back?
Well, and just maybe call it burnout or whatever.
Yeah.
Because you love what you do, but even when you love what you do, it kind of, not the monotony of it. I don't even know what you would call it. I don't even know. When people say they're burned out, it's a feeling.
Yeah.
So trying to describe that feeling, because I think for different people that feels different. But you can still use the word burnout because it has that feel to it.
I always love when we get feedback, and I think that really does help, because then, it's like we always say, if one person is listening and the stuff that we cover is helpful to them, that really encourages me and inspires me to keep going.
Yeah.
I think that has been the biggest thing for us. And I'm sure it's even for you. You realize that even if through your organization or through your practice, if you've helped one person, even one.
Yeah.
There is this feeling that you get with it. And I think it's that thing of giving back. And one of the things we really promote in our podcast is those people who give back to the community, give back to other people. You know what I mean? And it sounds like through the heart and soul that's something that you're doing. You're going to help to give people a platform.
Yeah.
I think those things are so important. And I think we need more of that. We need more entrepreneurs, those people with those ideas, no matter what that idea is. And that's what I love about, the entrepreneurs coming up. It's all walks of life. It doesn't matter your culture, your color, your belief system, none of that stuff matters. People are getting involved and they're following their dreams, and then they get to give that to somebody else, and then somebody else gets an idea off that. So it's this partnership, and it's a wonderful thing. And it sounds like that's exactly what you do with your Heart and Souls and your private practice as well.
Yes. Yeah.
So it's awesome. And we're so excited that you joined us today. And is there a place that people can check out your Heart and Souls International?
Yes. So the new website is actually going to be launching this week with the same domain, which is heartandsoulintl.org. So I would say probably by Friday of this week, it'll be launched. By December 16th. So look out for that. There's no current website right now that's out. It got taken down for now as we're launching the new one. But that's where they can find it. And then people can connect with me publicly on Instagram at ML Mundo. That is my, I guess, what do you call it? Name?
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Well, hopefully, the people will hear this and it'll inspire them to check out the stuff that you do and, learn a little bit more about it. Education is always important.
Yeah,
and
keep those videos coming. Those are awesome.
Yeah. You're going to have to go back to your videos, girl.
Okay, well, good to know. Well, thank you for having me and for, just hosting and inviting me to this. This is great.
Sure. It sounds like you're doing great work, and it's we always love when we can highlight things like that.
Yeah. So thank you so much for joining us. And, we hope that you have a very happy holiday, Merry Christmas, and a Happy New Year.
Yes. And you guys too.
Once again, thank you so much, Michelle. It's always a pleasure talking to you, girl.
Yes. All right.
Thank you.
Stay in touch. All right. Take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
We hope that everybody enjoyed the podcast today. We had a really fun time with Michelle. Please check out her website and stuff like that. We hope that you guys have an amazing week, and we will be back next week. Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye.